Now, what I'm going to share with you this evening is nothing new. You have heard this before. Jewish people constitute less than 1/2 of 1% of the world's population. Yet, their contributions to religion, science, art, literature, music, medicine, finance, philosophy, entertainment, etc., are simply staggering. Now, I'm just going to give you a few examples. Not examples in all those categories because we'd be here till tomorrow morning. 51% of Pulitzer Prize winners for nonfiction books, Jewish. 50% of Ivy League presidents. 50% of chess grandmasters. 37% of Academy Award directors. 33% of symphony conductors. 22.5% of all Nobel laureates. 38% of all U.S. national medals of science, and just to throw it in, 3 of our 9 Supreme Court justices, Ginsburg, Breyer, Kagan, Jewish. Pretty amazing, huh? It's estimated that the life-saving medical and scientific advances made by Jews throughout history account for an estimated 2.8 billion lives saved. Why? Why is this? What is the single contributing factor to such success? Well, perhaps one answer is as framed by the late Chief Rabbi of England, Jonathan Sacks. He wrote, "The Mesopotamians built ziggurats. The Egyptians built pyramids. The Greeks built the Parthenon. The Romans built the Colosseum, and Jews built schools. That is why they alone of all civilizations of the ancient world are still alive and strong, still continuing their ancestors' vocation, their heritage intact and undiminished." He says in the context of something remarkable, he says this in the context of something remarkable about tomorrow morning's Torah portion bow. He used to ask audiences, especially audiences of politicians and of business leaders, Jews and non-Jews alike, to imagine for a moment if they were Moshe Rabbeinu, just as he was about to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. And if they were Moshe in that moment, what speech would they give to all the people of Israel, their flock gathered around them, ready to move towards freedom? And over the years, he found the following answers. He said many actually would speak about freedom, the upcoming freedom that was about to take place. By way of an example, Abraham Lincoln's decision in the Gettysburg Address when he invoked the memory of a new nation conceived in liberty and looked forward to a new birth of freedom. Others, when asked the question, said they would talk about the destination that lay ahead, the land flowing with milk and honey. And others said they would talk about all the dangers and challenges that the nation of Israel might encounter along that long walk towards freedom. But what did Moshe Rabbeinu, what did Moses, our leader, speak about in that moment? "And when your children ask you, 'What do you mean by this rite?' you shall say, 'It's the Passover sacrifice to the Lord, because God passed over the house of the Israelites in Egypt when he smote the Egyptians, but saved our houses.' And Moses said, 'And you shall explain to your child on that day, it is because of what the Lord did for me when I went free from Egypt. And when in time to come your child asks you, saying, 'What does this mean?' you shall say to him, 'It was with a mighty hand that the Lord brought us out of Egypt, the house of bondage.'" Again, Sacks. It is one of the most counterintuitive acts in the history of leadership. Moses didn't speak about today. He didn't speak about yesterday. He didn't even speak about the immediate tomorrow. He spoke about a distant future and the duty of parents to educate their children. He even hinted that we should encourage our children to ask questions so that the handing on of the Jewish heritage would not be a matter of rote learning, but of active dialogue between parents and children. So instead of ziggurats, instead of pyramids, instead of a Colosseum, Jews built schools. And the most sacred duty of parents traditionally was to teach their children, with the crucial holiday of Pesach as the ultimate moment, an ongoing seminar in the handing down of Jewish memory. Judaism became the religion whose heroes were teachers and whose passion was study and the life of the mind. So the question I have, is that still the case? Is that what we can expect when we project out into our immediate and long-term future? Might we still lead the way in science and literature and music and art? Do we still hold to the tenets of Moshe, challenging us the way he did in tomorrow's Torah portion? Do you? Have you dedicated your life to such instruction, to require your children or grandchildren to know their history, to love learning, to find passion in education? Such questions that hopefully resonate with each of us will indeed determine the success of our people, both internally and externally, in the years to come. Shabbat Shalom.